Oh,
I guess
absolutely.
one thing we
Absolutely.
were curious about is we were actually watching your programs together, and it seemed like we were wondering is how much of a role you think the coach has because we were watching your programs from 2000 to 2001, and at that point we didn't see a huge difference in terms of your skating, but the way that maybe Dick Button
There
talked
wasn't
about
much.
you is very different. You were now with Frank Carroll,
Mhm.
and it seemed like
Your
the judges
artistry
had
was flourishing, and that was really the story of the year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely think whoever is standing at the boards with you makes a huge difference. I mean, especially with someone like Frank, who's known for like taking people that are very good technically and like putting them packaged together, improving the choreography, better music selection, better costuming, and like putting the package together. So automatically, I think that makes a difference. But I also think it's sort of even if you don't actually see the results, I think the mindset also becomes different when you're in that environment because it does become a priority and it's not just a drum drill and it's like it's just when you're with some of the more experienced coaches that are known that have a reputation for packaging, even if you don't necessarily make those incremental improvements when you're competing, it's about little stupid things that I never thought about as a skater, but like how you're stroking around during practice. Are you like schlumping around into your jumps? Or are you like trying to sort of make your practice more of a performance?
Hmm.
And I think it's those little things, the little details in the practice that don't necessarily always translate into competition right away. I think those are the little things that the judges kind of pick up on and look after and like the judges love their 40-minute or I mean I don't even know if they skate practice in the competition rink anymore. I think they go to like Iceland's out in the suburbs or whatever.
Hmm.
But like we used to have two 40-minute practices a day. One of them was the arena, one was not, and it was basically a mini competition. And you had to go out there and you had to have, like the practice outfit and whatnot. You couldn't go in like we used to go into Health South with like 9 layers of clothes on and you looked like
Our
just
earmuffs and our sunglasses.
yeah, no, and like you can't even like move your hands, you're so cold. But I think those things are definitely picked up on before you actually see a difference in competition. So again, it's kind of the whole perception thing, but like if I see a kid come out and I'm on a technical panel, not that that's going to happen anytime soon, but if I see Frank standing there, I know they're going to be, they're going to get through the program. They're not. It's not going to be slap fest. Like, they're capable of skating the programs that they're doing, and it's going to be. It's not going to. You see some certain coaches go out and like they have tons of kids that are loaded with talent, but like they might do a clean program or they might fall 4 times, and you kind of have no idea.
Hmm.
But with the veteran coaches, you kind of know they're going to go out and like it might not be lights out the best thing they've ever done, but they're going to be like
They're
it's not going to be
trained.
mess.
Yeah, that
It's
they're
good.
how
They're
prepared for.
do you think that having a veteran coach is more important nationally or more important internationally? Like, is there a difference, and is there a certain point where a coach may be more politically connected nationally but not internationally, or vice versa? Is that an important choice to make when selecting a coach when you're at that level?
for singles. I don't necessarily think that's the case in ice dance. Clearly, there's a huge. It's very obvious. I mean, the coaches that do the best have the most connections, or
Hmm.
the coaches whose teams do the best, I should say.
So then, did you go to Tatiana Tarasova because you thought that she was a great choreographer, or did you think that maybe she could help you with the European judges?
Actually, not. I didn't even really consider that. I went to her like I always respected her work. I'd always wanted to work with her. It, that was never an option when I was with Frank, so it was something that I wanted to try. I absolutely loved working with her. But at that point, like politics weren't going to help me at that point. Like I'd been on the podium, I'd been on the top, I had enough cachet. It was just a matter of me like actually landing the stuff and doing the choreography. So for someone in that position, in that sort of, in the arc of my career, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Mhm.
For someone, for example, like one of our junior men who's competing senior, they haven't had that much exposure to the highest level ISU judges, so it wouldn't necessarily hurt them to have someone like Tatiana, who has been around a long time, and she can create a little bit of buzz. And everyone knows that no matter what her kids go out and do jump wise, it's going to be exciting. So for the younger kids, I think it can make a little bit of impact. But like once you're talking top 5, top 6 in the world, it doesn't matter. Not for singles.
So, Tim, you and I really, our friendship became closer when we were training together in El Segundo with Frank Carroll. And those were the days.
Oh, they were.
And at the time when I came there, he had Evan Lysacek as well, who was another senior level competitor. And Frank is kind of known for, if he has one competitor, he'll ask, before he accepts another skater on the same level, he'll ask that person if it's okay with them if this next competitor comes. So I was wondering what it was like, if he did ask you before Evan came to train with him, and what it was like training with a competitor. Because at the time, you were really the more established skater. What was that like, skating with a competitor every day? Was it difficult for you, or did it motivate you more?
I found it very difficult, actually, because there's never... You almost felt like you were competing for the coach's attention. I mean, I definitely felt... whether it was just my perception or not, but I definitely felt like once Evan started training better than I was training, that Frank had really checked out.
Mm-hmm.
And watching him train some of the other girls when he had, Angela and Yevon at the same time, and then you were there at the same time as BB, and I definitely felt, whether it's accurate or not, that once you are superseded by the younger one, that you are replaced. Mm-hmm. That even if he doesn't actually fire you, there's a marked difference in like the interactions. Like it's much more. There's not that same close relationship. It's like he's not phoning it in because he is paying attention and he does care, but like you can tell that he cares less.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting when you say fire you, because after you and Frank split at the beginning of the 2004-2005 season, you were pretty vocal saying that you felt like you were fired. And we don't hear that a lot from a skater, so I thought that was really interesting. And at the time, Frank told the LA Times that you guys had discussed the parting over a period of time, and that you guys were fine with each other as people, but he said it got to the point where it was difficult to work together and it was not the best environment for you. So can you explain what happened in terms of that split? And was that something where it was discussed over a period of time? You talk about Evan coming in. It must have been really difficult to train with someone feeling like he had a foot out the door, or he was focusing more of his attention on somebody else. And what did he mean by it wasn't the best environment for you?
It had become a very toxic environment. I mean, it was painfully obvious, and I just think, I think a lot of it was my own insecurity. I wasn't skating that well. I was injured all the time. I would be back on the ice for 3 weeks. I'd be off for 2. I wasn't trained. I wasn't healthy physically. I was a disaster. And it just became I always felt like I was just kind of clawing my way to stay in. And it was absolutely the best decision for both of us. That I left. It was just, I think he probably saw the writing on the wall before I either realized it or was willing to accept it. And it wasn't so much that we parted ways, it was the timing. It was a day before we left for a Grand Prix that he then came with me to NHK that year. He had decided, he and I had discussed that we were no longer working together, and then we had to go to a Grand Prix event where I, as someone who coaches a little bit, would have, sucked it up, gone through the competition, put the smile on, pretend everything's perfect, which he did. Mm-hmm. But, even though he had decided that it was over, I think I would definitely have not felt like I had been fired if he would have waited to the end of the event and said, "Look, obviously this isn't healthy for you. This isn't working for me. I really think it would be best for everyone involved if you went and trained somewhere else." Instead of when we're like basically on the way to the airport. It wasn't so much
Oh wow.
we needed to part ways, but it was the timing.